welcome back to my home studio. I am Karen with Walsh of Karen's Pots and Glass, and happy 2024 to you all. In this first video of the new year, I'm going to be showing a new little tool that I was sent by a company where I kept seeing these ads pop up on my Facebook feed, and I'd never seen this before. So I emailed the company and I'm like, hey, do you want me to do a video on that? So they sent me one of their tools. This is from Wallace Pottery and it's called the footer, and it has two parts to it. The bottom part slips on your bat pins on your wheel head, and the upper part magnetically attaches to the base part. They have different sizes of the tops. I'm pretty sure this one is the medium size, but they have a small, medium, and large. And it's a good chuck that enables you to trim taller, narrow-necked, wider-bellied forms. So if you've never thrown with chucks before, chucks are very handy in throwing. I make a lot of chucks. Sometimes I make them, use them as greenware. Sometimes I make them and use them as bisque-fired forms. But this is, I don't know, I'm guessing it's 3D printed maybe, but this is a handy little tool and it's a quick change sort of a thing. So if you're into throwing a lot of forms, you might find it a very valuable tool. So I hope you enjoy this. Drop me any questions you have below, and stay creative in 2024, and I hope you all can keep potting out there. Okay, so unboxing the little footer tool. It came taped like this, wrapped up in some paper, and it's, you know, really ready to go out of the box. I just had to take the tape off. It has different sizes that are drilled for bat pins, if your bat pins are of different spacing on your wheels. It just slides right on. It's a really snug fit. My only concern was getting it off. I was hoping that it wasn't putting too much stress on it. And then this little top part is held on by strong magnets that are in there, and it holds it in place. So once you have the base of it secured to your wheel head, you just pop that on. Now, this appears to be, I'm assuming it's 3D printed. The thing that I find interesting is it does have a seam here, which I hope it doesn't cause an issue. There are some spots that are a little bit rough that I think I should probably take a sandpaper over it. Like if I have a bottle that comes all the way out to here, I should sand that off first because it's got a little rough spot. But what I'm working on today are more narrow-necked bottles. I threw several narrow-necked bottles or vases, and I'm going to be trimming off some on the bottom. Now, I know that the whole idea on this footer is they show it making foot rings, but personally, I don't usually ever make foot rings on vases and bottles. I make them just flat bottomed, and quite often I cut off enough on the sides where I don't even need to trim them. But in the case of these, I really did want them to be pretty slender. So I'm going to take off a little bit more here on the sides. Now, the instructions that they show it, the way that it came, they show putting a couple little coils of clay in here just to help cushion it, so it'll help to keep it from pivoting, I'm assuming. Okay, so now that I've got that all level looking, I'm ready to go ahead and trim. So just like trimming anything, I want to keep my left hand anchored to the bottom, and I want to push downward. Now I could just trim this with a trim tool. I could use, if I wanted to use, say, like a shredder, or, you know, a Sureform type tool, I could, to take off a little bit more, but I'm just using a trim tool. Then I'm going to rivet. Now this could be handy if I wanted to, say, chatter it, but it's not nearly dry enough to do the chattering at this point. It's still fairly soft. It's on the soft side of leather hard. And then I'm just going to put a little bevel here. Again, when I do bottles, I don't normally make a foot ring. A foot ring to me is something that I put on something when I want to allow it to kind of match the contour of the inside. Like a bowl or maybe a cup or something. But in the case of this, I'm just literally, I just have a flat bottom and a side that comes up like a little angled cylinder. Okay. That looks pretty good. Okay. I'm going to lift it. Check the weight. I'll take a little bit more off. Got some clay pieces stuck there. Now the trick is getting it set up with the same angle. There we go. Lost my coil. So this is the very first time that I'm using this footer tonight. I haven't used it before, and I think it does its job. It works well. It's nice if you want to really securely hold narrow neck things that maybe you can't turn upside down typically without being held by a chuck. Chucks are a great thing to make of various sizes, and I make chucks and I keep some fired chucks around and everything, but this is a handy dandy little tool if you're not into making chucks, or you can't, maybe you don't quite have the ability to throw a chuck at this point. It's not going to be an item that I would use for anything besides narrow-necked vases or bottles. Like I wouldn't be using it on cups. Okay, now let's try this again. Check for weight. Oh yeah, that's much better. I can tell already. Just a little bit more at the base, so it feels a little bit more equal. So there we go. Now I have some other forms. Let me grab another one. Okay, now this is another type of a bottle form, but you will notice that the proportion of it is much longer neck. So I wanted to just show you it won't work for everything because it has to be able to fit in here. And as I were to put that in there, that the rim would be hitting down there at the bottom before it would ever support. So it will only work for things where it can fit on the shoulder. Now they do have different sizes of this. There's a small, a medium, and a large. I believe this one is the medium. So, you know, maybe if I had the large, that would fit because it would be taller. Okay, and this is a totally different form style where it's a shorter neck and a wider shoulder. So this one, I knew it would fit just snug right in there real easily. Okay, so when you first start it off, you have to just try to get that bottom flat. You want to make sure that it's not tilted. think that's pretty reasonable. Okay, now that I have that secured, or I have it angled right, I'll go ahead and pop that in. And pop this in. Okay. Just like trimming anytime, I always try to brace that left hand on the pot bottom. Helps to keep my hand stable, and it keeps the pot stable. There we go. That took off a lot more of the weight at the bottom. So, a little tutorial video on how to use this. And if I had to give my review, I think it's a lovely little tool. It does what it says it will do. Just know that even though it is a trim tool, it's designed for very specific forms. It's not designed for cups, bowls, things like that. This is going to be for narrow-necked forms that can't really support themselves on the neck of the form, and it needs to be held up. This does make it a lot easier than, say, a Giffin Grip with the long extensions for a vase. And again, it's just a really nice version of a chuck. It's easy, click on, click off, and held on through the little base down here that snaps on to the back pins. So, shoot me any questions you have any below. I'd love to hear your comments on it and see what you all think if you all have tried it. But I think it's going to be a nice little addition for my classroom for some of my kids who want to make, you know, those narrow-necked vases, and they have a really hard time thinning the walls out enough at the base in order to have it graceful and light enough.